Cooks. Today on the Recipe Vault, we're making oven barbecued spare ribs. So I'm going to tell you all about my feelings about cooking spare ribs in the oven like this. But Mrs. Jack Neer, this is her recipe out of our handwritten recipe collection, and we're going to try it out to see how it tastes. So welcome to the Amy Learns to Cook kitchen. Okay, so I'm going into this recipe with a lot of doubt, right? Because we are classic barbecue people. We have grills, we have smokers, we've done competition barbecue all over the place. And our idea is ribs need to have smoke. So we need to cook them over, a live fire, simmering coals, whatever it is, low and slow. Because we're KCBS cooks, right? That's our background. And when I hear this idea of throwing spare ribs into a slow cooker, my whole soul crumbles, right? Because I just think that it's boiled ribs. You're boiling it in a slow cooker.
It's wrong.
In sauce. And I just think that that's not the way to go about it. A lot of people do that and they like it, and I understand why they're cooking it that way, because they may not be able to grill or smoke. You might live in an apartment, or you might be in a situation where lighting a live fire might pose difficulty. So you want to be able to have alternative methods. So we have a recipe here out of our handwritten recipe collection. This one comes from Arizona. I believe it's Suntan Valley, Arizona. I don't exactly know if that is 100% where the recipe came from, but that's where I got it from, right? I bought it from an auction seller, and that's where it shipped from. So I'm assuming this is an Arizona recipe, right? So I'm going to hold back on judgment.
We are going to make one minor modification to the recipe.
I'm going to make a minor modification because there's just some things I can't do. I'm going to keep an open mind, and we're going to cook Miss Jack Neer's barbecue spare ribs in the oven, right? We're going to start out with the sauce. Okay, we're going to start making the sauce.
Yay!
So, if anything else, we might get a delicious sauce out of this, right?
Hey, you got to look on the bright side, baby.
Yeah. So, one thing that's interesting about the sauce is it starts with some sauteed onions. And it's kind of weird because I'm not used to having like that in a barbecue sauce. Here I have a mise saucier. I'll put links down to it. This is a beautiful pan. Absolutely beautiful. This is a pan geeking pan all the way. So we got a little bit of butter in here, and we're going to start out with some onions. Whoa! Instead of medium onion, I cut it really as thin, as fine of a dice as I could, because I didn't want like a bunch of onion, like big onion in my barbecue sauce. I think this is kind of a strange thing. You think, Bill?
No, I've seen recipes before call for onion. We're just used to it being smooth. We'd rather put granulated or onion powder in it. That way you don't have chunks.
It reminds me of, like, I tasted that bone-sucking sauce or whatever it is, and it has, like, little onion in it. It was kind of a little weird to me. So, I don't know. So we're going to saute this until these get translucent. Okay, so we are going to be putting in some vinegar.
Okay. Oh, yeah, baby.
I got some brown sugar here. We covered it in a little bit of plastic wrap so it
wouldn't dry out.
Because
the little honey bear or the little sugar bear is doing his job keeping it moist in there for us.
We have lemon juice.
Yep. Fresh squeeze.
We have Worcestershire sauce.
Say that 10 times fast, Mark.
Worcestershire. We have some prepared mustard.
AKA yellow mustard.
Yellow mustard. I guess they mean that instead of
just get your
mustard seeds.
Just get your finger in there and just get it all.
We got some water.
Okay.
Thin it out.
Yep.
And we got a whole bunch of ketchup.
Gotta have that.
That's our base. Ketchup is the base.
With all that ketchup, that rules out most of Carolina. They would never use that much.
Well, it looks good with the Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Worcestershire is nice. Okay, so a little bit of controversy. This recipe calls for a half a cup of chopped parsley in the barbecue sauce. And my personal opinion is I'm only going so far with the onions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not putting parsley in barbecue sauce.
No.
That's just a little odd to me.
No.
Not doing it. I'll go so far with this, but I ain't going that far. Okay, so we need a dash of cayenne to taste. Don't get out of control. And it says salt. I'm probably going to salt to taste when this is done. So let me stir this up. It's getting a little crazy. This needs to simmer here for a half hour. So when it's done, we'll be back.
Yay.
Okay, so I have a rack of ribs here. And a lot of times when you go to the store, it's going to be in one of these cryovac, they call them. This is a St. Louis style rib. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it out of this packaging and we're going to rinse it real quick. So we'll be back and pat it dry. So we'll be back. Okay, so we're going to cut these ribs. So these ribs are spare ribs and they say that they St. Louis style them. I do see that they're St. Louis, the trimming is not that great. So we're going to trim these ribs. So I've made the executive decision because the recipe does not call for seasoning at all. It's putting the sauce in there and basically braising the ribs. So what I'm going to do is cut this in half and I'm going to Amy style one of them on a sheet pan. We're going to mustard and rub it up and I'm going to let it cook for a little while and I will baste it in the sauce as we go. It is not totally Amy style because Amy style would not be cooking it like this at all, but here we are, right?
So we can at least do a comparison. One is the recipe versus something that's closer to what we do.
Yeah. So here's the ribs here. And one of the things you'll notice is there's this skin on here. Like here. It's called the silver skin. And it's a membrane that keeps the ribs where they're supposed to be on the animal. But it's not too tasty for the eater. So we're going to deal with that. I'm also going to, I could tell that they tried to like St. Louis this, but they didn't keep going. So what I'm going to do is flipperoo here. There's a big bunch of meat here that there's little tiny bones here that'll just burn off. At least they do if we are on a smoker. I'm pretty much going to we're going to put this part, oh, my oven's ready to go.
We're going to cook it, but we don't need it for presentation purposes.
Yeah, I'm just going to get that off of here. So I'm going to put that there temporarily. That squared it up a little bit and made it look a little more attractive. I also want to square this up a little bit because this comes across here.
You got a line of fat that's as good as a measuring gauge, and if you just do a straight line across it, it'll look a lot better. It makes it more look rectangular, more evenly shaped. She's cutting off some of that extra flap. You can keep that if you want.
This flap? Should I get rid of that?
Yeah, I get rid of the flap. The idea is you want to be able to pull the membrane, and you want to expose the back of those bones. And when you're going to put rub and stuff and the mustard, you can't really get to it with all that stuff in the way.
So this is a membrane we need to get off of here. Let me go grab a paper towel. So some places, when you go to a restaurant, they pull the skin and the silver skin, and some don't. Some people do and some don't. It's not fun to pull, and I think a lot of restaurants don't pull it because it's time consuming.
It's slippery, so the paper towels help. A knife getting under it is a good way to start. Once you get a piece, hopefully you can slowly pull it across. The bigger the piece, the better.
I got a little bit of it.
Well, you do what you can, and then you grab some more.
Oh, boo.
Some pull better than others. But are we done already?
Yeah. See how he's smiling? Because he's like, yeah, I'm the silver skin puller.
I'm going to start with this guy over here, just because that's what I do. I try to end over here. We have to edit as necessary. Get him to grow, right?
See me now, why don't you hear me out? Can't you see what we're about? I see you at my door, wanting in, come back for more, but I don't want this anymore. 'Cause baby...
So you kind of see I got one big piece like that going across. So as long as he cooperates and doesn't rip on me. So that's what it kind of looks like. Is that? I don't think he's going to cooperate on this side. So a lot of fat, a little bit of membrane. Yeah, I don't think he's going to come, so I'm not going to worry about him over there too much. We got the big area, and that's what I'm mostly worried about.
So this extra meat, normally we would pop some of that on the smoker and put it in beans or something like that. So like I said, we're going to do this 2 different ways, and I'm going to cut this in half. Usually there's like 12 bones. One of the things is these bones are running at an angle, so this is not really a great set of ribs for competition. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one puny one there.
Puny, yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to cut him here. And now we have 2 half racks. So one's going to get a sauce. This one's bigger because it's on the larger end. One's going to get the sauce treatment, and one's going to get the Amy treatment. Trim this a little, just for looks. And so on this sheet pan, we're going to be putting the one that we are going to rub. And on here, so you want to rub the big one, put the little one in there. I'm going to put the little one in here.
Well, look at it this way. There's a chance that the braising one might cook faster because it's in a braise. So you might want to put the bigger ones in that because the bigger ones could take longer to cook, right? I'm afraid the smaller ones might fall apart.
What do you want me to do with that thing?
Put a little mustard on it and give them a little love with the rub, right?
Loving in the oven?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for this, I'm going to do the underside first. And we're going to go ahead and give him the mustard treatment. Maybe. Mustard treatment. And give him a little rub down. We got a little rub action over here. Eric suggested cooking meat side down and then flipping it. So we're going to give it a little rub here. Flipper-do. The mustard treatment.
The reason why we like the mustard is for two reasons. One, it does tenderize the meat a little bit, the acid in it. But yeah, it's also a convenient way to get your rub to stick too. And you do not taste the mustard when it's done cooking.
Yeah, you don't really taste the mustard.
Don't go, ew.
So you want to do
Yeah,
meat side down?
sure. And then halfway through, we'll flip it.
Okay, so this is my, against my better judgment, half. And I'm going to go ahead, and there's no rack or anything for this. It doesn't say anything about a rack. I'm going to go ahead and give us some sauce here, quite a bit. It's basically boil in a bag without the bag. Meat side down, is that how you want to do it, Boo?
Yeah, I've never done this before, and for other people who have done this, and if you think I'm a worrywart, then chime in on the comments. I'm thinking that this is going to braise, so that helps it cook faster. 350 is warm enough that it may be fine in an hour, hour and a half. But I'm thinking the braising is going to help it cook faster. And that is bigger meat on this set of bones. So that's why I want to do it down so it's sitting in that liquid. Because I'm thinking once it thins, once it gets warm, it's probably going to drain off a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
So we're reserving a little bit of the sauce just in case we want to sauce this, and we're going to sauce this, not at the end, but near the end. So
To the oven.
to the oven. So that is the braised. Are you going to flip it or are you going to leave it?
I'm going to let it go for maybe 20 more minutes, and then I'll take a look. Take a look at the tenderness.
It has some, one of the bones is falling out already.
Yeah, the bone is falling apart. You can see it is rendering the grease. You can see the grease.
There's a couple of burnt spots.
That could just be the sugar-fied, what happens,
Oh, yeah.
because it's high temp, right? 350, it will burn sugar. Look at the sizzling action in there on the meat.
Here's my other concoction. That one's shrinking.
Shrinking is good. That's what happens. You can see mustard is mostly gone. Just have a little bit of yellow. You got the liquid from the fat rendering, so it's still moist back here. We're getting ready to flip, and then that little concoction over there. So got that going. This has been cooking for about 40-45 minutes so far, so we got a little ways to go.
Are you going to sauce these yet?
Not right
yet.
now. No, we gotta let it close. For tenderness purposes, these things should bend somewhat, and see how stiff they are. So they're nowhere near being ready. So back in the oven.
Okay, so we pulled Miss Jack Neer's ribs out of the oven. One of the things I can say is the sauce looks kind of ketchup-y, like tomatoey.
The little bit of acid there was, the lemon juice and the vinegar, created a nice aroma when it was cooking, but it didn't really thin all that ketchup out.
Yeah.
And I did put the sauce on a little thick.
So there's definitely no smoke ring.
Shocking.
That might be the limitation of this, because you're going to miss out on what you know.
Well.
And so that is how that looks.
Okay. Got a little steam coming off them, so they're still warm.
They don't look horrible. They smell kind of good.
This is a learning experience.
So see if we can cook ribs in the oven. So this is the one that I did. We didn't sauce them at the beginning. I mustard and rubbed them. So we'll see if this is a smaller end. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
The bones are smaller. They look like they were drying out as they were cooking, so I sauced them a little sooner than I wanted to, just to preserve them from drying out.
Well, the hard part of it is that they cooked in about the same amount of time. So this one probably slightly overcooked.
Well, you never know.
That's how that looks.
They cooked up on the rack where the other ones were braising. So the
I
other
don't know
ones,
what to do with this here.
well, if you got a spot in between any bones and cartilage, you can cut it up. Otherwise, I can gnaw on it.
Okay, Boo, come on over.
All right. Don't have to ask me twice.
Okay, so we're gonna test Miss Jack Neer's ribs first.
All right. So let's go ahead and pick this up. We got a little cartilage right there, a bone right here. All this is meat, so it's looking kind of tasty.
Okay, try it.
So
Very soft.
soft, maybe I got a piece of fat. Who knows? That's meat. And
So what do you?
let me take one more bite.
How does that compare to our smoked ribs?
Well, there's no smoke, so that flavor is gone. So with this meat here, the only flavor is coming from the sauce. So if you take a second bite and there's no sauce, there's no flavor, period. Literally, there is no flavor. So I don't like this recipe because the meat itself is not flavorful at all. You're really relying on the sauce. Otherwise, tenderness, it came out okay and everything, so that's not bad. So for an hour and a half cooking time, it did a good job. So that's not bad at all.
So try this one. We put rub on.
Okay. All right, so we have meat. Yay.
It looks a little drier.
Well, it is going to be drier because it was up in the air on a rack. It wasn't braising. But we'll see what happens. Okay. So the rub, I taste some salt, which is always a good thing. So I am getting some flavors. Yes, I do got the sweet sauce and everything in there, but I'm actually getting a little cayenne on the back end now. But I'm actually getting flavor from the rub.
So rub really does make a difference.
Yeah, because you're flavoring the meat.
Yeah. This recipe, there's a big flaw with that.
You got to flavor the meat.
Yeah.
The sauce is not bad, but sauce overall is really sweet. But I would definitely say flavor the meat. The sauce should be secondary.
The sauce is decent. It seems very tomatoey. To me.
It might have secondary applications. Maybe you could put on some chicken and stuff. But yeah, I really think you need to flavor the meat primarily and then add the sauce later.
So what do you think about the ribs, Boo?
I will say that tenderness-wise, especially in an hour, hour and a half, it wasn't bad. So in that sense, good. These ones came out with the sauce, came out moister than the other guys over there, so that was positive. What I didn't like, though, was the lack of flavor. This tastes one-dimensional. If you get a piece with the sauce, it's flavor. Otherwise, just meat. No flavoring at all. The ones that Amy-fied, were good in the sense that with the rub on the meat, it didn't matter what you got. You didn't need the sauce. And that's how I kind of feel about sauce. Sauce is good for a second layer of flavor. I really like the rub as a primary. The fact that they didn't have smoke, that was disappointing. But for the recipe, I don't think it was bad when it was Amy-fied. Amy did a good job. This by itself, I really think you need at least salt and pepper in the meat. You got to give it some flavor at a minimum. And then sauce it nice good. Those I liked better.
I'm finding this with a lot of Recipe Vault recipes. There's just not a lot of enough seasoning on there,
And that might be the way that people cook. So I definitely don't want to badmouth anybody who does it in the oven because it works for so many people. And it is a convenient way to cook, right? We don't have to worry about a fire. I don't have to worry about fire temps going up, down, or how long it's going to take. Overall, it did good. So I think it's worthy. It's just, I really wish the recipe...
it's lacking.
The recipe needed another dimension, needed another layer of flavor.
To me, the sauce is a little too tomatoey. It's too...
The sauce, no one's going to be happy with any sauce, right? Some people like it tangy. Some people like it sweet and thick. Some people want a white sauce. I mean, regional, you can't get too many people to agree, right? But if you just want a plain Jane flavor, I think this stuff was too sweet. It had a little tang to it, but it was just too sweet overall.
Yeah. So, cooks, thanks for watching the Recipe Vault. This was an interesting experiment. I think if you don't have the ability to put some ribs under fire, it is feasible to do it in the oven. But obviously the preferred method is we need some smoke, right? Thanks for joining me. Okay, but he keeps eating them.
Hey.